And I'm late on the intro, but welcome back to Beerfield Fantasy Football. Happy Week 9. I am your fill-in host at Hot BFF with 2 Ps. Nick is he's out fighting Bengal cats. Or at least I think that's what you're supposed to do in Cincinnati. You got myself here joining me from Springfield, Illinois. Thury BFF. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. Just trying to get adjusted to not being able to hear drops. It's going to be very quiet at times.
Yeah, the technology is going to be all weird for this one. You might see me pulling my headphones on and off. If you're on YouTube. If you're on the audio stream, the intro came in late. Basically, we're having to do a makeshift podcast because all the equipment is in Springfield with nobody that's versed on running the equipment. No offense, Dan. So we're doing what we can to bring you guys some content tonight. So, Dan?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you're there.
Yep, I'm here.
Good, you're there. All right. Well, as always, you can follow the show on Twitter at BeerfieldFF. You can follow us on Instagram, Untapped. I feel like I'm missing something. That's just BeerfieldFF, I think. Oh, YouTube also.
Yes.
But hopefully you're watching on YouTube already. We do go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday around 5:45. Sunday mornings at about 10:30. So be sure to check that out. That'll be a solo show with me this week. And if you want to help us out, drop a review on iTunes to boost some visibility. You can also send us beers, show us your support through Patreon, buy some merch. And for all that info, you can DM at BeerfieldFF. But with all that being said, and that being in a mouthful and a fumble fuck of an intro, let's preview a beer. Beer Fuel. All right, Dan, you and I are drinking on different things, so what do you got?
I got a Leinenkugles Snowdrift. It's their Vanilla Porter. Leinenkugles, of course, is based out of Wisconsin. It's their first time on the show. 6% alcohol, 16 IBUs. Per the website, Snowdrift is a fuller-bodied brew with hints of coca, coffee, caramel brought out by the roasted malts and aged on real vanilla.
Yeah, he will have a review for that for you about halfway through the show. As for me, my beer is a double dry hopped IPA from Orange Door Brewing. This is out of Evanston, Illinois. And per the can, this aromatic India Pale Ale has loads of hop character on a clean malt backbone. Dry hop twice for bold grapefruit and citrus flavor with just a hint of pine. It brings back vivid memories of that old Orange Door. I don't have memories of an Orange Door, but you get it. Anyway, let's get into the news. It's a really short segment here this week. News. Raheem Mostert broke his arm.
He did.
That's it. That's the news segment. Yeah, I didn't see it, but I heard it was bad, so kind of intentionally didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was. I saw the GIFs all over Twitter. I was at work when it happened. So, Before we jump into what happened Thursday night, we have a question from Jared. It's more of a what we think of this trade he made. Jared traded Traquan Smith and Aaron Jones for Dalvin Cook and Devin Funchess. I love this move. Jones doesn't have to compete with Montgomery anymore, but Williams is still there. Smith is the number 2, doesn't get a hole. We'll see. An uptick in offense with Ted Ginn out. And I love him this week, but Dalvin Cook can be a league winner if he comes back healthy, and Funchess is a good wide receiver 2, high 3.
Yep, I agree with that. I think this is a fair trade for both sides, but I definitely like the Funchess Cook side more. I think there's a lot more upside to that.
There's a lot more upside. You have to withstand the Cook on his limited snap count here this week, but if he comes back healthy, he's going to be the best player in this deal by far.
All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and call an audible here, and we're going to go ahead and do the in or out segment with the news before we get into recaps and previews, because Mom's not here to tell me otherwise. All right. So in this week, Dalvin Cook on a limited basis, 10 to 20 plays, it looks like. So what do you think about him this week?
Well, the initial report was 15-20, and then a little bit later it came out 8-12. So I kind of just put it in between. I don't think you play him this week. This is a great matchup for him if he was able to play a full workload. What this does do would maybe be more of a mosquito bite to Latavius Murray. I still like Murray this week. I still like this matchup. It's just going to be more of a nuisance.
Yeah, just a slight bump down. Riddick is going to play, which, oh well. Alex Collins is playing, and so is Chris Carson after his hip injury. So any thoughts on Riddick, Collins, or Carson?
Riddick, it's a slight tick to Kerryon Johnson. I don't really care about Riddick. It's more of a slight downgrade to Johnson. Collins is still a bad matchup, and he still sucks, but it looks like he's going to play. And then with Carson, I read it was a game-time decision, but I guess you're still going to throw him out there. He's been one of the most productive backs on that team. So,
yeah, it popped up on a Roto that he was expected to, so I added it in there. Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, both expected to go, so I think you're starting both those guys.
Yep.
All right. Your guys that are for sure not playing, Chris Thompson, he's got double bruised ribs at running back. Wide receiver, Torrey Smith and Geronimo Allison. Geronimo Allison would have been maybe an interesting play this week, and as would Chris Thompson, but bumps to MVS with that Allison out.
Oh yeah, huge bump to him. I like him as a dart throw.
Yeah.
And then with Torrey Smith, I already love DJ Moore, and I think he's already surpassed him. But this just helps cement the type of volume he should see against Tampa Bay.
Yep, and the other thing we'll keep in mind, and this is a good segue to our check back Sunday, Capri Bibbs may not play either, so it may just be Adrian Peterson there.
Yeah, and I don't know who would be their pass catching backs there. I guess you get a slight tick up to Jordan Reed, who's already seen a lot of volume. Mm-hmm. Paul Richardson could get some work, and then I think Maurice Hurst is the 3. I don't remember who the 3 is.
Yeah, Jamison Crowder. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Derek Anderson concussed, probably going to be Nate Peterman in that one. I don't know. That makes a whole lot of a difference either way. And then gross. Corey Davis, Kiki Kuti, Allen Robinson, Antonio Callaway, Kenny Stills, Stephon Diggs. Kuti, Davis, Robinson, Diggs, all names you could potentially be starting this week that you'll need to listen to me on Sunday to find out for sure about.
That's right.
All right. Anything else on those before we get to our Week 8 preview, I guess? Oh, no.
The recap.
Recap. Right. I forgot I went off script.
No, I'm good.
What the hell happened?
All right, 49ers 34, Raiders 3 in a completely unexpected blowout. Dan, what do you got?
So Nick wrote these up before he went to go play with with the Bengals out there in Ohio. His notes on the Raiders: this game was an unmitigated disaster for the Raiders, and not a single player on this team will finish as a good play this week. Doug Martin will likely be the closest with 69 total yards, 1 catch on 12 touches. This team is trending in the wrong direction. Outside of the Cardinals game in 2 weeks, I don't think this team has a prayer of being competitive in another game this season. Yeah, I completely agree. Derek Carr, I don't know if he's even the future quarterback on that team after this year.
Not as much as he's regressed. And Doug Martin, unfortunately, isn't getting the touches or the game scripts, even though he's looked pretty all right, honestly. And no wide receiver stepped up or benefited from that Cooper trade. So this is just a team you're going to try to avoid mostly.
Yeah, I'm a little sad because I like Jared Cook in that, but he looks even phased out. Mm-hmm. As for the 49ers, Nick Mullins came in as a third-string quarterback after Garoppolo and Bethar's injuries and put out one of the best debuts ever in a QB's first ever start. He went 16 for 22, 262 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks taken. The Raiders' defense is absolutely pathetic and made Mullins look like prime Montana in this one. If he wins the starter job, and he probably should, he'll get the Giants, then their bye week, and the Buccaneers over the next 3 weeks, which is a good slate. I don't know how you can trust him after that. But hey, if you want to.
Yeah, I don't think I can run out and pick up Nick Mullins.
Yeah.
Unless I'm in a super flex league and I'm desperate.
Right. Moving on, Matthew Burrito continues to struggle with efficiency and with the injured ankle at just 3.7 yards per carry. He's been held under 4 yards per carry in 3 straight games after being 4+ in his first 6. Hopefully, the mini bye playing on Thursday night allows him to recover back to 100%. Mostert was the most effective runner before his arm exploded at the end of the season. He'll need surgery on his forearm. Morris was a sad 7 for 13, but we'll see an uptick in usage with Mostert done for the year. Receivers, Garcon was the receiver with the biggest uptick in this one. He caught 3 of 5 targets for 56 yards and a touchdown. Richie James was the other one who flashed here with 60 yards on 2 catches. He's a developmental rookie who flashed in college and definitely named the Noel in medium to deep dynasty leagues. Goodwin had 4 targets but couldn't do anything with them. He'll bounce back going forward.
I don't know that Goodwin will bounce back going forward. He hasn't really bounced back after any bad game this year, so in redraft, I think he can kick him to the curb.
Yeah, and I'm more with Garcon. It depends what happens with the quarterback situation after Berthard's healthy enough to return to action. If it's Mullins, I'm going to stick with Garcon and Kittle. Well, Kittle is me no matter what, but if Berthard comes back, I may not play any receiver here.
Yeah, and Richie James, I completely agree with that. Coming out of college, we just saw him as another one of those slot receivers in this year's class that could really jump out and do something.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm assuming Dante Pettis is still hurt, and that's why we didn't see much. He hasn't really done much. But Richie James and him are kind of very similar players, smaller body slot receivers that can do a lot of work after the catch. So it's good to see him put that together. As for George Kittle, he's arguably a top 3 tight end right now and continues to have big plays with yet another 70+ yard reception. I agree with Nick here. He's a must start for the rest of the season.
Yep.
And then defense had 8 sacks on the helpless Raiders, and they'll be in consideration against the Giants next week.
I'm glad I streamed them.
I'm not picking them up. The Raiders are the worst team in football. I think the Bills could beat them. At least the Bills look competitive in their losses. The Raiders, I think, just give up. As for the Niners defense, I mean, it's like I said, it's the Raiders. I wouldn't get cute there.
Agreed. All right. Anything else on that game?
Nope. That's all he had.
All right. Let's get some Week 9 previews.
Weekly preview.
All right, I'm kicking it off in this one. You've got the Lions and the Vikings to start off. The Vikings are favored by 5. It is a 49-point over-under. Hopper, go ahead. Sure, I will. Starting with the Lions, Matthew Stafford. Probably not going to be any Xavier Rhodes in this one. Any word on Andrew Sendejo?
I haven't heard about Sendejo. Rhodes he might be. He's a true game-time decision.
Yeah, that's kind of what he was last week, too.
Yep.
So, potential for a banged-up secondary, basically. Stafford's giving you multiple touchdowns in every game and only 2 interceptions this week, too. He's definitely a back-end quarterback 1 for me this week during the Byepocalypse. Kerryon Johnson, only one back had more than 20 attempts against the Vikings. No 100-yard games, but they are allowing 19.1 points a game. Makes Kerryon Johnson a solid flex to me. It's not a team he can really run on, but he should get enough work to do it and should be really the only one there doing anything. Theoretic coming back doesn't hurt him, in my opinion.
Okay.
Different thoughts on that, or
no? I mean, it just takes away potential his pass catching floor. We've seen Riddick; he won't have any, say in the running game, but he does get his work in the receiving game.
Well, and Golden Tate's also gone though too, so that could balance out pretty well.
I like Johnson either way. I think you have to play him just for his upside potential.
Yep. Speaking of Golden Tate being gone and banged up secondaries, I think Kenny Jones, Jesus, Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones.
I mean, you could call them Kenny Jones. They're almost 1 and 2 in the same player, but I love them both here. Should be no volume for both of them.
Yeah, I do too. I think they're both going to be good plays this week. And the tight ends for the Lions, just stay away from them. You don't know what's going to happen.
No.
As for the Vikings, Cousins, there's 0 chance you don't start him in most weeks, especially this one. As for Cook and Murray, I still love Latavius Murray this week, even though Cook's expected to get some limited work. It just bumps him down a little bit. He was a back end 1 for me, so it's kind of that mid to high running back 2 now. Cook is really only a desperation play, and you shouldn't be desperate, so I'd probably just sit him for a week, see how he looks. He's supposed to be on a limited snap count.
Yeah, I agree.
As for Diggs and Thielen's way too hot to bench right now. Even if he does draw a sleigh, you're not benching somebody that's had 8 straight 100-yard games. Diggs, if he plays, I do like him a decent amount as well in this one. It should be relatively high scoring, so I expect him to be involved.
Yeah, and Slay is also questionable to play, so we'll see if he even goes.
I'm going to have a lot to cover on Sunday morning. And then Kyle Rudolph, you can't really afford to bench him despite it being a down year for him. He's giving you some what counts as floor for tight ends, so
yeah,
you're starting him. And that's all I got on this game.
Word up.
All right, Dan, you got Falcons-Redskins. Redskins favored by 1.5, 47-point over-under.
Yeah, we'll start with the Falcons here. Matt Ryan's a must-start at this point. I believe he's the QB3 in the season. You're not going to sit him with 6 teams on bye. As for the running game here, Tevin Coleman was my sit of the week. Washington's run defense is one of the best in the league. I believe they're still holding teams under 3.4 yards per carry. And as Coleman gets majority of the carries, the pass catching work here is pretty much an identical split between Coleman and Edel Smith. So you can't play them either, and that's the only way you can attack the Redskins with their running back is through the air. And no, I'm not playing either of them this week. Julio Jones is, of course, a must start. Really needs to new or low-end flex plays. Both don't get enough volume to trust as weekly starters, and they're both touchdown dependent. They're averaging about 5 targets a game right now. Washington does give up big plays, and that's the best way to attack this defense with the receivers. So if I got to play one or the other, I'm playing really over Sanu. And then Austin Hooper is just a mid-tight end streamer at this point. Washington's slightly above average against tight ends, but they're still pretty good. I wouldn't expect a ceiling gain from him, but he should hopefully give you the 4 to 5 catches that he's known for. And while it's hard to predict kickers, I did a little bit of kick research. Washington's only given up 6 field goals this year. I don't know how you can play the Italian Stallion even with how good their offense is. It's in Washington, so it's not indoors. I would not play the Italian Stallion this week.
Stay away, I guess. My kicker analysis isn't necessarily at speed, so I'll take your word for it.
That's right. Moving on to Washington here. Given how bad Atlanta's defense is, Alex Smith becomes a mid-level streaming option. He is my start of the week for quarterbacks. It's a desperation play if you really need one. As for the running game here, with Chris Thompson already rolled out and Capri Bibbs potentially missing this game as well, AP should feast. Atlanta's given 4.3 yards per carry in the season, including 7 rushing touchdowns, tied for the 3rd most. They do give up a lot of pass catching work, so if Bibbs can play, he is a mid flex option in deep leagues, just with the given floor. As for the receiving options here, Jordan Reed's really the only one I'm considering. He had multiple targets for the first time this season last week. And Atlanta, though, has been okay against tight ends. He is the main pass catching option here, especially if Chris Thompson, or especially if Bibbs doesn't go. It's just going to be Reed and Paul Richardson with AP kind of spilling the rest of what's there. Even though the defense has been very good lately, Atlanta's got a very good offense, and I would probably stay away from that. They can put up points quickly. Matt Ryan is kind of more 2016 form than last year form, so he can put up some points. But this also means that Dustin Hopkins for Washington isn't a bad play with how bad Atlanta's defense is. That's all I got.
All right. I don't have anything to add there, so we're going to move on to me. Steelers versus Ravens. Ravens are 3-point favorites, 47.5-point over-under. Let's start with the Steelers, though. Ben Roethlisberger's back-end quarterback one this week because of the bye weeks. He's got a ton of weapons. Baltimore's just league average against quarterbacks, which, depending on how you look at it, I mean, you're not going to get a blow-up week, but he's not going to kill you either. He should be okay.
Yeah, I agree there.
James Conner, you start your studs. Just expect a floor day from him. Baltimore's been relatively good against the run this year. They've only given up 70 yards a game to opposing backs, not giving up a ton through the air, but he'll still be perfectly fine in what should be more of a black and blue kind of run it, more defensive game than anything.
Yep.
Baltimore, as far as the wide receivers for the Steelers go, they've only given a one wide receiver over 75 yards this year. They will give up touchdowns, though. They've allowed 7 touchdowns in 8 games this season. So for me, you're definitely starting Antonio Brown. Juju, if you don't have a better option with this week, you probably don't. I don't expect blow-up games, but again, there's a potential for one of them to catch a touchdown. Brown will get volume, so this should be okay.
Yep.
And then Vance McDonald, he's kind of an emergency play with this being a Byepocalypse sort of week. I don't expect him to go off or give you 70 yards a game, but he has been the tight end that's done it the most consistently on this team. So if you're looking somewhere, you could do worse than him.
Yeah, I got to play him this week in Mom's League.
Yeah, you could do worse.
Yeah.
All right. As for the Ravens, Flacco, the Steelers' pass defense continues to improve. They're now better than league average in fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks. And Flacco's kind of fallen off a bit with just one multi-touchdown game in his last 4. He's kind of more of a back-end streamer for me this week. I don't love him.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him either.
Alex Collins, Pittsburgh's had a decent run defense. They've only allowed 12.9 points over the last 3 weeks. No running back's been over 45 yards all season. So at this point, you're just kind of avoiding the entire backfield. I think 45 was supposed to be 65, but still, you get it.
Yeah, and I see people out there trying to trade for him, and I don't really like their playoff schedule. I don't remember what it is, but I don't remember it being very good. And Collins just isn't the same runner as he was last year. I'd be trying to sell him.
Yeah, it's not been dynamic. If somebody wants to trade for him, you should let him go.
Yeah.
As for Brown and Crabtree, both are fringe plays this week. Pittsburgh's allowed just one wide receiver touchdown since week 5. AJ Green's the only wide receiver over 65 yards in that time frame against Pittsburgh. So their pass defense has really kind of turned it around a bit. So people may try to pump this up as a good play based on the overall picture, but Pittsburgh has been better against the pass, so these guys are more back in 2s, high 3s streaming considerations for me.
Yeah, Brown had a big game against some when it was in Pittsburgh, I believe in week 3. Mm-hmm. But other than that, you're just hoping for a touchdown.
Yeah, and again, the defense has just gotten a lot better since that time frame. I mean, you can look at their points allowed per game, and you can just see it going down consistently.
Yep.
And then you like Mark Andrews this week. I just don't like this tight end situation. You were trying to up the degree of difficulty, so if you believe in Dan's tight end predictions, go for it.
I've been kind of good this year, but yeah, that's a very desperation play.
Yep. All right, Dan, you got Chiefs Browns. Chiefs favored by 9.5, 51.5 point over under. What do you see here?
So the Chiefs are probably the easiest team to preview. I have one note. You're starting Mahomes, Hunt, Hill, Watkins, and Kelsey. They're all must starts. I love the defense this week. They get Mayfield, who struggled with turnovers and sacks. To believe I think he still leads the league in interceptions, or at least is top 5 at this point. And I expect the Chiefs defense to play very aggressively, which is great for DSC points. And then obviously Buckner is a fine kicker to play. And that's all my notes on the Chiefs.
Sounds like my notes on the Bills are going to be.
Yeah. And as for the Browns here, Mayfield is Hopper start of the week here. And while Mayfield struggled on paper to get it going, he's actually been pretty good for fantasy. He's averaging right around 17.5 points since becoming the starter. And we all know that the Browns will have to throw to try to keep up with the Chiefs. Nick Chubb is a fine RB2 start this week. While he hasn't been the fireworks show that people were expecting from him after how he got traded, he gets the Chiefs defense that's still the second worst against running backs in the season. They're giving up 7 rushing touchdowns. Hopefully this coaching change, this aggressive coaching change, will get Nick Chubb more touches. It would also hopefully get Duke Johnson more touches in a game that's very favorable for him. So if he has kind of the game we've all been looking for from him, this is the game he should have it in. And then as for the receivers here, with Callaway unlikely to go and Rashard Higgins still questionable, it looks like just Landry and David Njoku are kind of the guys here that's left over. I know that Njoku gave you the goose egg last week, but the Chiefs are equally as bad against tight ends as Pittsburgh was. And Landry is just a must start at this point. So you got to kind of write out those two. I think this is a favorable matchup for both of them, and a game script that should help them too.
Yeah, I agree completely. I like Jarvis Landry a lot this week because it's a favorable matchup and it should be a high scoring game.
Yeah, and that's all the notes I have for them.
All right. On to the Bears versus the Bills. The Bears are favored by 10, 37.5 over under, which is probably mostly Bears, if I had to take a wild guess.
Yeah.
So this game's going to be a bit weird, but for the Bears, Trubisky's an okay flex play this week. I don't love him, though, because this game script should not require a lot of throwing. But Trubisky has thrown 13 touchdowns since week 4. It's been over 300 yards 3 of his last 4 games. Game script just kind of keeps him in check in this one, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, and the Bills have been pretty good. I mean, they held Brady in check for the majority of their game Monday night.
Yep. As for the running backs, Tariq Cohen, script might be a bit against him as well, but with no Robinson, or likely no Robinson, he should be involved as long as this game is near close. He should be one of the top 2 target getters in the passing game. So in any form of PPR or half PPR, you're okay starting him. And then Jordan Howard, to me, he's kind of a back-end running back, too. The Bills aren't giving up a ton of yardage on the ground, but if this game plays out the way I think it's going to, he should be getting the ball a lot in the second half.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm avoiding the wide receivers, tight ends in this one. I just don't think there's a ton of volume to go around.
Yeah, definitely.
As for the Bills, Bears defense, obviously start them.
Yes.
And then as for the Bills, you're starting nobody, not even McCoy. You're just sitting everybody this week. Bears are allowing just 38 yards per game passing to running backs. Defense is very good. You got potential of Nathan Peterman or Derek Anderson, I guess, starting. Bears are not necessarily weak in any one area, so I'm just avoiding all Bills.
I completely agree with that.
All right, we are moving along. It goes a lot faster when Nick's not here talking so much.
I guess that is very true.
Jets, Dolphins, 3-point favorites, 45-point over-under. Nick, you got this one.
All right, I'm going to be Nick here. I don't know where I went through with that accent, but here, we'll start with the Jets. Darnold is missing weapons and is yet to break the 28-point mark in a game this season. He's going up against an average pass defense, so you bench him in all 1 QB leagues. Dolphins' run defense is 3rd worst in the NFL, allowing 178 total yards and 1.25 touchdowns per game to opposing backfields. Crowell should see the majority of the work here and should be the RB2 on the volume alone. If McGuire goes, which looks like he will, it's looking like a possibility he could be a low-end 3 with some upside. It just depends how much actual work he gets. But it does kill Trenton Cannon in any deep leagues. None of the Jets receivers can be trusted. Only 4 total wide receiver touchdowns in their last 5 games, and only 3 total instances of a receiver breaking 16 receiving yards. The volume just isn't there and is trending downwards. I completely agree with that. Chris Herndon was my start of the week, next start of the week. He's had a touchdown in 3 straight games, and he faced in the Dolphins defense that's allowed 5 touchdowns in their last 3 games. He's easily their best red zone receiver, and I agree with that as well. Jets defense is mediocre streaming candidate given how bad defense matchups are this week.
Yep.
Yeah, this game.
It's pretty chalk. There's a lot this week that's pretty chalk.
Yeah. As for his Dolphins, knows 4 of the last 5 QBs to face the Jets have broken 20 fantasy points in 4-point passing touchdown leagues, including Blake Bortles, Case Keenum, Brock Osweiler and Case Keenum. Brock Osweiler is a start in 2 QB leagues or a super desperate 1 QB streaming candidate if you want to go that route. Jets have allowed 151 yards and 2 touchdowns a game over their last 2 games, so Drake is a locked-in RB2 this week. Gore is even under consideration as the RB3 floor play. Jets' run defense has been trending in the wrong direction.
So, hold on. Nick, I got a question.
Yes.
Who's the running back you want for the Dolphins?
Kenyon Drake.
No, I'm asking soundboard Nick that you won't be able to hear.
Oh, damn it.
I mean, since he's just a second-year player, I think Drake would be the one I'd take a shot at.
Okay, you're good. Nick got to say his piece.
I feel so sad that I can't get to hear. I'll have to listen to the show then. Danny Amendola is a solid start here as an upside wide receiver 3 as slot receivers continue to shred the Dolphins, with Miller scoring a touchdown out of the slot last week and making an 8 for 8 in slot receivers, breaking 10 points against the Jets this year. Devonta Parker was Hopper's start of the week and likely has the biggest ceiling of many Dolphins receivers. But he has a low floor, so I view him more as an upside 3. Kenny Stills also looking like he's going to play this week, so that's going to kind of, fuck up a lot of things for that. Just 2 total tight end touchdowns for Miami on the year. No tight end of theirs has broken 50 yards this year. Look somewhere else for your tight end streaming options. And that is all the notes Nick had.
All right. On to me. It's going to be Bucks Panthers. Panthers favored by 6.5. 55-point over/under. I wouldn't bet against Fitzmagic. Speaking of Fitzmagic, he is back. And while Carolina's been good against opposing wide receivers, the Bucks passing attack has been better. To me, you're starting Fitzpatrick, you're starting Evans, you're starting OJ Howard. Even Chris Godwin, I think, is an okay flex play this week. He's the one that I'm kind of a little iffy about, but because the Panthers aren't bad against wide receivers, but he should be all right, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of volume. Should be a lot of scoring and chances in here.
Yep. On the inverse, Peyton Barber I'm staying away from. He played terrible with, I said Mixon at quarterback? That doesn't make any sense. He played terrible with, Fitzpatrick at quarterback. And Carolina has allowed just one rush touchdown over the last 5 weeks. Only 55 yards per game during that stretch, so Peyton Barber's an avoid play for me. And you're obviously not starting the Bucs defense.
Oh, God, no.
No one's that desperate. And then for the Panthers, DJ Moore, Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, Greg Olsen, Devin Funchess, they're all startable.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as easy as the Chiefs on any given week.
All right, that's it. Let's do a beer review. We are moving along.
Yeah, we are.
Beer review.
All right, Dan, what did you think of Leinenkugles Snowdrift Vanilla Porter?
Well, as most porters are, this is very easy drinking. The Coke. Yeah.
Coke.
The Coke's definitely there. The chocolate's there on the front end, or I guess, their mocha. I don't really taste the vanilla that much. It's a crisp, easy drinking. Like I said, it's light body, being that it's a porter. It's not like eating a dinner when you're drinking this. At 6%, it does kick you there, but there's not a lot of alcohol taste, as there shouldn't be. In terms of just a vanilla porter, I think they're missing the vanilla just a bit. But as someone who likes porters, I think this is still an easy drink, and I still enjoy it.
Yep, that's a beer that I've had before. It is one of my favorites. It's an easier drinking porter. It's not super nutty. Like Dan said, you get the chocolate on the nose, and there is a hint of vanilla on the back end, at least that I've been able to pick up in the past. Not sure this year's is a little different or what, but it is a very solid beer. It is one of my favorite winter beers. As for me, I was drinking on Orange Door's Double Dry Hopped IPA. For a double dry hopped, it doesn't come in as overly bitter. It's definitely packed with citrus hops. There's a little bit of bitterness on the back end, but it doesn't necessarily kick you in the teeth with bitter hops. The citra hops are there, but it's not overly bitter. It's a very, very solid, kind of hazy type IPA.
So it's like most of the, I guess, the more the like mostly new popular IPAs, or even double IPA aren't going to kill you.
Yeah, kind of. It's not overly juicy like a New England style. It's just super citrusy. Okay. More of a summer drink.
Sounds good.
It is good. All right. I actually think I got it at Benny's before I left, so
I'll have to look for it then.
I don't think I get things from up near Chicago and microbreweries down here. All right, let's get back to the games. Chargers, Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 1.5, 48-point over/under. Dan, you're up.
All right, we'll start with the Chargers here. This is a difficult matchup for Rivers this week, as the Seahawks are the best team against quarterbacks right now, giving up just 13 points per game to the position on the season and 12 points per game over the past 4 weeks. But still, Rivers is having a career season, and it may be hard to sit him. Just maybe lightly lower the ceiling for him. On another note, though, Seattle's played against pretty bad offenses so far, and of the two big offenses they play, being the Rams and the Lions, they've given up about 300 passing yards to both of them, and I believe a touchdown or two apiece. So while the floor should be there, the ceiling may not be. As for the running game here, Melvin Gordon is considered questionable against the Seahawks. This is still a difficult matchup. Seattle's defense has just been a lot better than what we expected. But tune in to Hopper Sunday morning for all that insight to see if he plays. Austin Eckler, on the other hand, wasn't a great start in his lone start a couple weeks ago. This matchup is a much better. Tennessee played. He struggled against Seattle. Is just as equally good against running backs this season. He's a low and flex option if Gordon goes because he tends to play better with less volume. But if Gordon doesn't go, based on potential volume alone, he could be a mid-flex option if you're somewhat desperate. As for the receivers, Keenan Allen hasn't been great this season, but Seattle's offense should be good enough to keep the Chargers throwing. Rivers hasn't thrown a lot the last couple games for them. Well, Allen still isn't the wide receiver 1. He's still a very good wide receiver 2, and he always has wide receiver 1 upside. As for the Williams brothers, again, they're hard to trust. Not a lot of volume per each. Tyrell Williams made big plays to make him relevant the last couple games. And if you're looking for a big play here, Tyrell isn't a terrible choice. And of course, you're avoiding the Titans here because they're all old or they're just shitty. And their defense has played better of late, but Seattle's offense is also getting better. I would look elsewhere for that. Anything on the Chargers?
No, we do have a question, though.
Okay.
I don't know how long it's been there, so I can't tell if you're slacking or not. Jay Mahomes, who may be Patrick's brother, I'm not sure. Bestie to stash looking forward to week 10. Easily for me, I called this out on Wednesday's episode, but it's the Colts. The Colts have an amazing schedule from pretty much week 10 on. The only kind of iffy game they have in there is the Texans. The rest of it's like the Titans, the Jaguars, the Cowboys. Not really high-powered offenses there. So looking ahead, coming off of their bye, I'm grabbing the Colts and I'm trying to ride them the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's asking just for week 10, but looking at some of these week 10 matchups, if Kansas City's still on their on the roster there, they're playing against Arizona at home. If someone dropped the Chargers for whatever reason, they're playing against Oakland. You have the Giants and Niners. You could maybe try to get cute there. But again, it doesn't look great. New England gets Tennessee, and their defense always tends to play well as the season goes along. So, again, another bad option. The Jets and Buffalo play against each other, so that could be a defensive struggle.
Yeah, a lot of good options. I just throw the Colts out there to anybody that asked right now because it will fix your streaming problem for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, for sure.
All right.
Moving on to Seattle here. Wilson has approached must-start territory. I think he's had 2 or 3 games in a row with 3 or more passing touchdowns on very little attempts. Well, that's great. I do like to see the passing attempts go up to kind of give him more of that floor. He's running again, which is already providing a lot of floor for that. And the Chargers' offense is the best they've faced in a while. Lions are good, but the game script got kind of gross there to start out. As for the running game here, Chris Carson's a firm RB2. He's averaging 18.5 touches per game right now. He's clearly the RB1 in this offense, especially after last week when all 4 running backs were active. Chris Carson saw 67% of the snaps. Second highest was Mike Davis at 32%. That could even out a little bit if the passing game is there still, but Chris Carson has been fantastic this year. Chargers are also middle of the road against running backs. They're giving up 4.46 yards per carry on the season to them, though just 3 rushing touchdowns. And also stay tuned to see if Carson plays. Hopefully he does. I have him in a lot of leagues. As for the receiving game here, Doug Baldwin's been frustrating to own this season. When he's played, volume's been very up and down. He's been pretty difficult to trust, and it looks right now Tyler Lockett's kind of taken over that most trusted spot. Lockett scored in 3 straight games. He's scored in every game besides 1 this season. And the game he didn't score in, he went 5 for 53 on 6 targets. So he's been the most consistent. He's been the safest to play. Both are considered flex options in a game that could have decent game script to keep him going. And then a quick shout out to David Moore. He scored in his last 3 games, scored 4 times in that span. He's even a low-end flex option because Wilson has been airing the football out a lot more. And as for the Titans here, as much as I want to give Nick Vernett his props, Ed Dixon is back and is kind of making his tight end field a bit murky again. They both scored last week, but you can't expect 2 tight ends to score in a game. So not loving that there. And just like the Chargers defense, Seattle's been good as of late, but I'm not playing against them, against the Chargers offense that can be very, very deadly.
Yep, I completely agree with all of that, especially the Tyler Lockett thing. The Doug Baldwin is getting harder and harder to run out there every week.
Yeah, but second half Baldwin, just like Wilson, is a lot better. So hopefully we can see that start to happen in this game.
Yep. All right, on to Nick. He's got the Rams and the Saints. Saints favored by 1.5. It is a 59.5 point over-under in what should be a shootout. Nick, to you. We're starting with the Rams. Goff is a top 10 play this week as the only two good quarterbacks the Saints have played this year. Cousins and Ryan both have thrown for 350-plus yards, 2+ touchdowns. So I do like Jared Goff this week.
I love every player in this game.
I do too. Gurley's top 3 play no matter what, and I'm not concerned about the Saints' run defense. Neither am I. I feel like I'm having a conversation with myself there. After Latavius Murray just put up 95 total yards with a touchdown. All 3 Rams receivers are wide receiver 2s this week. There doesn't appear to be a particular profile of what type of receiver blows up on the Saints defense to start. All 3, there's some big upside there. It's a Brandon Cooks revenge game also.
Yeah. They're all going to be fine.
And don't even consider the defense or the tight ends for the Rams. Just bad ideas.
Yeah.
So, yes, pretty much to sum it up in a lot less words than what Nick typed, start everyone that's not the defense or the tight end.
Yeah, this game you can literally start everybody that's not a defense or a tight end.
Yep. As for the Saints, Nick likes but doesn't love the Rams this week after he just said don't start them. Breeze has had back-to-back dud games, and the Rams have only allowed 1 blow-up game against them of 25-plus fantasy points. It's to Cousins in Week 4 so far this year. So top 10 play with the bye weeks for Drew Brees, but not expecting a blow-up, it looks like, which is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. The script's flipped. I guess we were both right in a sense with how we predicted Brees.
Yeah.
But this game, a lot like the Vikings game, I think when the Rams played them, I think both offenses are going to find a lot of success through the air.
I think they're gonna have to. I'd be surprised if Brees doesn't throw 35+ times.
Yeah, me too.
The Rams' run defense has been solid, not amazing this year, though. They're currently 9th in total points allowed. Kamara and Ingram should both be started as normal, with Kamara as a high running back 1. Ingram is a mid running back 2. Kamara has out-touched Ingram in 2 out of the 3 games. Ingram has been back this year, which is a true statement. I'm a little bit more reserved on Kamara, though, I think. What do you think? You cut out. All right, we still don't have Dan. I'm not sure if he hit the switch on his mic or what's going on here. Where'd Zoom go? Yeah, gone completely. So I'm going to keep going with the Saints, and we'll hope he comes back. I'm not really sure what's up. Everything looks good over here. Michael Thomas, high-end running back or wide receiver 1, faces Rams defense that has allowed 9 receivers to either break 100 yards or score in the last 5 games. This also makes Tre'Quan Smith the only other wide receiver seeing significant targets. The last couple weeks for the Saints, a wide receiver 3 with some upside and a nice matchup. So it sounds like we're loving Michael Thomas this week. Tre'Quan Smith, good emergency fill-in, given the fact that there's like 7 people or 6 teams on bye. As for the Saints, tight ends goose-gagged you last week without a single target for either Watson or Hill. I don't think they're trustable, and just 2 tight ends have performed against the Rams this year, Cook and Kittle over 8 games, and I just don't trust the Saints tight ends in general. And then don't consider the defense at all.
Yes, I believe.
Hey, you're back.
You know, I accidentally hit the mic off button.
Oh, yeah, I called that out. I thought that you did.
Yeah, because I could still hear you. So quick points. I select Kamara. The one game that Ingram outsnapped Kamara was because of Kamara's injury right before their bye week, so that just kind of made sense. I love all the receivers in this game. Thomas and Smith are great play, especially DFS for Tre'Quan Smith. And I agree with you, don't start the tight ends.
Yep. All right, we got some questions, Slacker.
But I had to fix the mic problem.
Jimmy Navarro. What's up, Jimmy? Good to see you. Isaiah Crowell or Jordan Howard this week, full PPR?
I like Crowell. As much as I like Jordan Howard getting back to it, Cohen has still been the better running back. And Bills are still a good run. Just a good defense all around. They held that New England running game to absolutely nothing. But I mean, you can go either way here.
I'm more on Crowell. I think there's more upside there. As much as I like Howard to get volume, the Bills have been solid against the run, and the Bears are going to have to put enough distance between them before Howard does start to get volume. So you may get some good floor out of him, but I'm Team Crowell in this one.
Yep, same here. So we're both Crowell.
And then Austin Murray says he traded Deion Lewis for Chris Thompson in PPR. Wants to know what we think about that.
As much as I love Chris Thompson and when he's healthy, he hasn't been healthy pretty much at all this year. And if the Titans offense starts to get better, it's going to be because of Deion Lewis and less Derrick Henry. We got to see that a couple weeks ago in London when they played the Chargers. So I would prefer to keep Deion Lewis at this point.
Yeah, Lewis has been more reliable. The thing with Thompson is that if he gets healthy and can play, I probably do like this trade a bit more. I like the upside of Chris Thompson. And I think the Redskins are in desperate need of pass catchers. So if you're banking on him getting healthy, I can absolutely see why you made this trade, and I like it a decent amount. But right now, given what we know and the way the season's progressed, I think I would rather have Lewis. But hey, if you saw an opportunity to get a guy that had good upside, and that can't be faulted.
Yeah, and like if you don't need either of them right now, if you have other running backs you can play, then I'm completely fine with this trade.
Yep. All right, Dan, you're up. You got the Texans and the Broncos, even and 46-point over/under.
All right, we're going to start with the Texans here. Watson, for the most part, has been pretty good this season. He started this season throwing a pick in every game through week 6, but over his last 2, he's throwing 6 touchdowns to 0 picks. Broncos do have a very good pass rush, and that's the weakness of this Texans offense is their O-line, so Watson, again, could be running for his life. He's got the rushing floor to kind of help with that. I don't think you expect a blow-up game like you saw against Miami. I think he's more of a mid-level streaming option this week. As for the running game, this is Miller's last good matchup for the next few games. Denver's terrible against running backs. And Houston's made it clear these past 2 weeks that they'll take advantage of a defense that's struggled. Denver's given up 5.3 yards per carry on the season to running backs, including 7 touchdowns. Well, there's an asterisk here because they've been pretty good against them the last 2 weeks. The other running backs here. Denver's just allowed 118 combined yards in these 2 games, and that's the 6th best against running backs during that span. So we'll see what Houston decides to do here. As for the receivers here, Hopkins is, of course, a must-start. Demaryius Thomas is a true boom-bust play. You don't know what his role is going to be right away. You don't know if he's going to be limited in his snaps. He's still learning the offense. But this is a revenge game for him, and QT may still not play. He's still battling that the hamstring. Even if he does play, he will see Tremaine Brock, who's been pretty good this year against slot receivers. Ryan Griffin is now expected to play after he's been gone the last 2 weeks due to illness, and he's only had 1 productive game, and now this tight end backfield is a mess again, so I'm not playing them. And the defense here for Texans is a great play. Case Keenum has been turnover prone. He's thrown a pick in every game, and he's taken the 5th most sacks on the season.
Yep, pretty much spot on there. And we got more from Austin.
Yep, I just saw it.
So he's got Gordon, Richard, Breida, Fournette, and Murray. So that's why I went for upside. Yeah. Breida, Fournette, if they can get Breida, Fournette, or Thompson get healthy, you're in good shape.
If Cook can't get healthy, then Murray's fine too.
Yeah, and Gordon, I think, will be fine. I think he plays this week, and that doesn't re-aggravate. And Richard, given the way the Raiders have been going, he should still have some receiving floor.
Yeah.
Would you trade Trey Burton for Rob Gronkowski in PPR? I definitely would.
Yeah, I think there's going to be better days for Gronk going forward, and his upside is far more than Trey Burton's.
Well, not just that. Bad Gronk equals average Trey Burton.
Yeah.
And then he has Stafford or Mayfield this week.
I'm going Stafford.
Yeah, it's Stafford for me by like 3 spots. So it's going to be close, in other words, but I'm leaning Stafford. Jimmy, which Rams wide receiver do you love the most in PPR leagues? My answer to this is pretty well documented. Dan, go ahead.
It's Cooper Kupp easily. He's back. He's healthy. He could have played last week, but I think they held him back just by caution. But yeah, this is going to be a lot of throwing against the Saints, and I think all three are fine in all PPR formats.
I do too. Cooper Kupp added some upside to the nice floor that he gave you most weeks last year, though, so I think he's the most insulated, which is why he's my favorite, and that's why he was my favorite last year, and he was my favorite wide receiver in last year's draft class.
Yeah. I mean, I love Robert Woods too. He's been the most consistent in terms with health too. But when Coop's played, he's been clearly the one. Cooks is more touchdown, big play dependent. He's lost kind of that Flory saw early season, and Woods kind of gets to scraps. But all three of them are fine plays this week.
Yep. All right, back to you.
Broncos. Houston's very good against quarterbacks, and I wouldn't stream Keenum this week. Look elsewhere. Freeman is still up in the air on whether or not he'll play. Either way, I like Lindsey here. He took full advantage of a full workload last week, put up a very nice game. And even if Freeman plays, I still like him. Lindsey's an RB2 this week against Houston, who's been the one way to attack him with their running back is through the passing game as well. Sanders at this point is a must start. He's the wide receiver 6 on the season, I think, in half point. They just traded away Demaryius Thomas, and I even like Sutton in this game. Just because of the amount of upside in here. The Texans secondary is already kind of banged up, and they lost a couple more pieces against Miami last Thursday night. So I like both Sutton and Sanders, especially Sanders here. And tight ends like usual are in a void here, and the defense, they could give you floor if they can get to Watson, but Watson's shown the ability to throw on a run, and this team can put up some points. So I kind of steer clear from the Broncos defense this week.
Yeah, I would steer clear of the Titans too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
All
right. Packers Patriots. This one is a 56.5 point over under. Patriots are favored by 6. So let's go to Nick. For the Patriots, all non-Derek Anderson quarterbacks have scored at least 24 fantasy points over the last 4 weeks against the Patriots. Not that you needed a reason to start Aaron Rodgers. He's top 3. With Ty Montgomery gone, Aaron Jones now looks to be the primary running back and should see close to 15 touches in this game. Well, yeah, I would hope he sees more touches with Montgomery not there. Not that Montgomery is getting a lot of them, but he gets a Patriots defense that's allowed at least 11 fantasy points to an opposing back in all but one game. He puts Jones in the running back 2 range. I completely agree with that statement. Jamal Williams is even worth considering as a running back 3 flex type as much as the main pass catching back, though he has very little ceiling. His highest score this year is 8.6 fantasy points. I'm not starting Jamal Williams.
There's no way I'm starting Jamal Williams. He's been garbage.
Yep. The Patriots have done a good job shutting down most wide receivers this year. Adams is an obvious must start with, with Allison likely to miss, you're going to look towards Marquez Valdez-Scantling as a wide receiver 3 play, which I completely agree with. I love MVS's upside in this one. If you're looking for a second receiver out of the stops and offense, though, ESB, Cobb, Allison are all benched as it's gotten too messy, which I agree also.
Yes.
And then Graham, he's been either 70-plus yards or scored in 3 of his last 4 games. Burton, Kelsey, Ebron, all top 60 yards against the Patriots. They've allowed 4 tight end touchdowns over the last 4 weeks. Definitely running Jimmy Graham out.
Oh, definitely.
And then, much like other shootout games, don't think about a defense here.
Yes.
All right. As for the Patriots, he said at the end, do not start any defense in this game. Well done, Nick.
Well done.
As for the Patriots, Brady's an obvious start, but not an elite play, which I also completely agree with. Only 2 quarterbacks, Goff and Cousins, have scored over the league average for quarterbacks in a game against the Packers defense. That's 18.9 fantasy points. So Brady's a mid-tier 1 for me.
Yeah, and even with the trade-in of Clinton Dix, not one ball hawk safety is going to completely shut down a defense. So
right.
I agree with that.
Running back is the bigger weakness for the Packers. They're middle of the pack against opposing backs. They're allowing 139 yards and just under a rush touchdown a game. Majority of that should go to James White, which makes him a top 10 play. There also is an outside chance that Sony Michel plays, but with this being the Monday night game, I believe, I'm not doing it.
No, they're Sunday night, and no, I still wouldn't do it.
Oh, okay. I'm still not doing it. You don't have enough options to plug and play.
Nope.
With how much scoring that we expect this week, Gordon and Edelman are both starts. Edelman's questionable right now, though, but they think he will play.
Yes.
I'll let you know more about that on Sunday. It's been an eclectic mix of receivers who've blown up with big body receivers and Galladay and Reynolds, route runners like Diggs and speed like Goodwin, and slot receivers like Thielen. So picking who you kind of want to play from the Patriots is going to be tough. I do lean Edelman in this, as does Nick, just because he's getting more volume than anything.
Yeah, and I think they're both fine.
Yeah, but Nick calls them both mid to low wide receiver twos, a statement I also agree with.
Yeah.
And for Gronkowski, he's averaging just 56 yards on 3.6 receptions per game with 1 touchdown in the season. Only 1 red zone target. He's no longer a must-start tight end, and he's still a must-start tight end if you're averaging 56 yards a game.
Oh, shit.
He's just not a top-tier tight end. His Nick's tight end 7. I think that's probably pretty fair. You may have a better option this week at your disposal. I highly doubt it. And the Packers have been awesome against opposing tight ends.
Yeah, it's just like Rudolph and Graham even at times. I don't know how you can get that cute and bench Gronk. Unless you drafted George Kittle, which I guess has been a pretty popular thing. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, most leagues, though, Kittle's going to be rostered. The problem is that with a lot of leagues being 12-team leagues, there's not 12 tight ends you can trust week in and week out. At least Gronk and Rudolph are going to give you floor. You know what you're going to get.
Yep.
Whereas, anybody below that tight end 8 or 9 range could dud you completely.
Exactly.
But that's all he had on this game.
We have questions. So before I start, we'll start it off here with Austin. Should I be panicking on Baldwin or Jeffrey due to Tate and PPR? Jeffrey and Tate should be more complementary players to each other instead of hurting each other. Wentz has gotten better and healthy. I expect Philadelphia's passing offense to continue to be more in an uptick because of the lack of a running game they have. Baldwin, yes, there is some concern there.
Yeah, ton of concern with. I'm going to echo what Dan just said. I'm not really concerned about Jeffrey. Wide receivers getting traded mid-year take a while to integrate. You got to build that rapport with the quarterback. Wentz has eyes for Jeffrey that he got about mid last year. Don't expect Tate to come in there and do a lot of blow-up things that are going to hurt Alshon. But Baldwin is definitely concerning to me, especially as an owner, to where he hasn't really hit stride. But he has been a better second-half receiver than the first half. So, but if we're having this conversation again in 2 weeks, Baldwin might be droppable.
Yeah, and I really hope that's not the case. Moving back to Jimmy here with Doyle back, do you guys think I should try to trade Ebron for a better tight end? Yes.
Yeah.
If you saw last week, I believe Doyle out-snapped him and he out-targeted him, out-produced him. Ebron's still good for touchdowns. It's just what he does. But with Doyle back, he becomes more of a boom-bust tight end.
Yeah, you're going to see about 4 targets a game for Ebron with some touchdown upside, whereas Doyle's should get the majority of it between the 20s works. So if you got somebody that's desperate that you can move Ebron for, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and then Austin's question, which defense, pass, Chargers, Jets, Dolphins, Seahawks, Lions, or Falcons? Repeat, Patriots against the Packers, I wouldn't do. Chargers against the Seahawks, I wouldn't do. Jets get the Bears, no, Dolphins. Jets, Dolphins are against each other. Jets more so there. Tannehill is not going to play this week. It's just came out. He's at least 2 more weeks from returning. Seahawks against the Chargers wouldn't do. Lions get the Vikings, and Falcons get the Bucks. Or not the Bucks. Falcons get I'm blanking. Washington. Not a lot of great options. I think the Jets are kind of the best out of that bunch, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you. It'd be Jets and the Falcons, I think, would be second out of that group for me.
Yeah,
or Seattle.
There's a lot of bad streaming options this week, and especially with Oakland dudding. That was a very popular streaming option. Yeah, Jets for me here as well.
Jets just are what jumps out.
Yeah. And then Jimmy said, I can easily see Wentz putting up 35-plus points a game with the addition of Tate. Don't you guys agree? I agree completely. I think this offense is taking the next step. We're going to have to see how he integrates. And if there's a 2 or 3 game lull with them, the defense has also struggled a little bit. It's not as dominant as it was last year, so they could be needing to throw more.
Yep, 100% agree.
All right, we'll move on to my last game. Titans versus Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 6.5, 41-point over under. Let's go to Dan with that. All right, Titans are what's our Titans here? Mariota isn't streamable right now, so I would avoid him. He's had just 3 passing touchdowns this season with 1 rushing touchdown, throwing 5 interceptions. He's thrown over 200 yards just twice, over 300 yards just once. That was an overtime game against said Philadelphia. And Cowboys have gotten a lot better defensively overall, so I'm not playing Mariota in pretty much any league if I can. Derrick Henry fell into the end zone their last time out against the Chargers, but that's the only way he's going to have any sort of production. I'm avoiding him if I can. Cowboys are allowing 3.4 yards per carry to running backs this season. So, again, just see Derrick Henry either on the bench or on waivers is where he should probably be. But I actually like Deion Lewis a little bit in this game. This is another way to attack this Cowboys offense this Cowboys defense with running backs is through the air. I've said it before. I think what the Titans need to do is stop trying to be cute with Henry and just start getting Lewis more and more involved in this offense. You're going to see a better uptake from them overall. He had a decent start against the Chargers a couple of weeks ago, so hopefully they can continue to build on into that. As for the receivers here, Cowboys are second best against receivers this season. The offense still hasn't clicked, and Corey Davis is questionable coming into this game. On Monday night, I would not play Corey Davis in this matchup, and neither of the other receivers, also including tight ends. They're just avoiding all pass catchers not named Deion Lewis in this matchup.
Yep. I don't really have a whole lot to say. The Cowboys defense has overperformed, so I don't really love anything about the Titans this week.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't love anything about this game.
No, it's going to be a pretty gross Monday night, which means it'll probably be amazing because, we've been wrong on that. As for the Cowboys here, Dak's been good as late. 3 passing touchdowns with 0 interceptions and 2 rushing touchdowns this last 2 games. He's had 150 total, 115 rushing yards in those 2 games as well. Adding Amari Cooper to the mix, it's going to be good for him on paper. And also given this to 6 teams on bye this week, Dak Prescott is a good mid-level flex streaming option here. The Titans are a good defensive team, and they're good against quarterbacks. We get up the 9th fewest points to them this season. So Dak, with the rushing ability, should give him a decent floor. He hasn't thrown for 300 yards yet this season, so I wouldn't expect a lot from him from there. Zeke is, of course, a must-start. Titans have been good against defenses. It's been good against running backs as well, but I don't see Zeke having back-to-back bad games like what Washington did to him. And then as for the receiving core, just like Demaryius Thomas in Houston, now Amari Cooper is a true boom-bust play. He had the extra bye week to kind of give him that chance to learn the playbook, get integrated with Dak. I believe he got with the coaching staff during the bye week. They deep dove into it. They also came out and said that they're not going to ease him into this, so they're just going to throw him out there. The Titans against the Chargers 2 weeks ago allowed 2 big plays from Tyrell and from Mike Williams. So Amari Cooper could actually give you something if he can get a big play. Not playing any of the 4,000 tight ends that the Cowboys seem to roster. But their defense is interesting. Mariota is generally safe with the football. He's only had 5 interceptions this year. Doesn't take a lot of sacks unless he's playing against Baltimore. But this game could be a struggle fuck to score points. So both defenses could give you floor this week in terms of just points allowed. And that's what I got.
Yep, you're pretty spot on. So let's go ahead and wrap this show up. Thank you guys for tuning in, especially those on YouTube that show up every week and engage. We really do appreciate that. I will be here on Sunday live at 10:30 a.m. for all your start-sit questions and to give you some updates on some of the players that we aren't really sure about, implications, weather, the whole 9 yards. It'll be just me, so bear with me as it might be a little tough to keep up on questions and stuff, but we didn't want to completely abandon that with Dan having work to tend to and Nick being mauled by Bengals or whatever he's doing.
We do have a question.
Sure.
One of the last ones from Austin here. My tight ends are Evan Ingram and Ebron, so this is kind of piggybacking to the Ebron trade question. Both of them are on bye week this week. He picked up Ed Dixon, but now he's debating between Dixon, Antonio Gates, Jeff Hireman, Chris Vernon, who I think should be the guy you pick up here. Nick Vannett and Mike Gesicki are the other options there. I am going with Chris Herndon.
Yeah, Chris Herndon's got a touchdown in 4 straight weeks, and the Jets are void of pass catchers, so I would go Herndon if you need it.
Yeah, I'm going Chris Herndon here as well. So that's our answer for you.
Yep. All right, guys. For at Nick Sparts, who is not with us, he will be back on Monday, I do believe. Dan Thury across the river in Illinois.
At Thury BFF.
I have been your temporary fill-in host at Hot BFF, and I will catch you guys Sunday.
See you guys.
See ya.